effect mode. Bun down is the sound. You know how we do. This is, of course, The Lounge Presents. We're live streaming on Twitch, and you can catch us on demand via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Now, on today's episode, we are having the lounge space blessed by a homie from time that I've had the pleasure of watching this guest build, and I mean seriously build. You know what I mean? And we only met when she was in Toronto, but she still had like Vancouver before that, and I mean, we're gonna get into it. But watching her build from the time that we met up until now, and watching all the movements, goddamn, so proper, so proper. So without any further ado, let's give it up one time for Masia One.
What a beautiful introduction that was. Thank you so much. Boogie.
So you made it. You finally made it over into Canada. I have to ask, were you caught up in Regasa?
Yeah, absolutely. They put me on
Shit.
an early flight before I got on the plane. They're telling me uh, the super cyclone, so we're trying to fly ahead of the super cyclone. So yeah, it was a bumpy ride. I'm so
I,
blessed I made it.
nah, I mean, whew, good thing you made it here okay, because that shit is serious things.
Yes. I mean, I just left
Whoa.
from Taiwan and we did a stopover in Hong Kong. We were literally just missing it each step of the way.
Yeah, it hit the Philippines tough, yo. Like, whoa.
It
Just
is Taiwan heavy too.
and it's still moving, right? Isn't it still moving?
Yes, it's gone into parts of China. They're worried
Shit.
because it's super densely populated areas.
Damn.
Areas. Yeah, man. Nature doesn't pick
Yo,
where.
don't sleep on Mother Earth, yo. She wins every time.
Right. She's gonna remind you that you forget.
Yeah, yeah. We tend collectively, yeah, we obviously tend to forget a lot more than we should. But regardless, yo, you made it over. Regasa didn't touch you. You made it here safe in one piece. Now, we're going to get into a couple of the reasons why you are over on this side of the ocean. But before we do, we're going to start off the way we always do. We're going to ask Major One how you were first introduced to hip hop culture.
Well, I was 8 years old in a wet market in Singapore called Bedok. And as kids, we all received like Chinese New Year money or Lunar New Year money. And I was running around the market and I stumbled into a bootleg tape CD store, just taking it back. And I remember that day finding two records that I really liked. One turned out to be Bananarama, and the other one was Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation. And and
Eight?
I ate. And I was
Damn.
excited for the record because you got Flav in the back with the big clock. I'm like, oh, these people look like they're friends. And then when I played the music, and mind you, I was coming from a place where most of my cousins were listening to Chinese pop music, J-pop music at the time. When I played when the rhythm came, I was like, whatever they're saying, this is urgent, this is necessary, this is the movement. Like I fell in love with the music immediately, and yeah, that the rest I suppose you could say is history.
Now, the music obviously is a part of the greater culture. What do you think it was that attracted you to all of it?
I think that being able to express yourself in such a bold way, and I was coming from a culture where at the time, my aunties were telling me, girls are seen and not heard, and be very polite and be very quiet. And suddenly I'm like, whoa, you're allowed to do this? You're allowed to express yourself in this way? And I remember being 8 and just hanging on to Chucky's every word. So if he talked about Hugh Newton, I would go to the library and look up Huey Newton, and anything he would talk about Malcolm X, I would go to the library and look it up. And I just researched everything as a somewhere across the world, a Singaporean kid, and just wanted to know more about what is this feeling of urgency and bold expression that I was experiencing. And a year later, I mean, in that year, actually, I moved to my family immigrated to Vancouver, Canada. So kind of saw New York as the mecca of hip hop. So okay, I'm a little bit closer. Maybe I can find more of this music. And that's when I discovered De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest, and that just set me off on a journey.
Now, how did you know that this journey was not just going to include, loving the culture and the music pretty much for the rest of your life, but actually participating and actually picking up a mic and saying, you know what, I could do this, and I think I've got something to share.
Ooh, well, I started as a graph writer because actually I'm a painter and introvert by nature. Go figure. Wrong career. But I remember I had moved to Toronto for U of T, to University of
Yeah.
Toronto, doing the architecture thing, graduating in architecture. And at the time, I remember, years I'd written raps and 16 bars, but like shy about it. I write it and hide it under my bed, and I never ever imagined performing in front of anybody. And at one point, I had a new roommate whose name was Jesse Otaki. I think I'm Jesse Otaki. And, and at the time, he was throwing an event that was an all-female showcase, and one of his people like couldn't make it. So kind of said to myself, okay, I'm going to do it this one time, prove to myself that I'm not too shy to at least spit in front of people, perform in front of people, and just do this one time. And I told him, hey, I kind of got a flow, and so he put me on, and from that I got I remember Much Vibe. I got a Much Vibe commercial because someone in the audience saw me, and it just kept going from there. And I told myself, hey, as long as this goes, I'll just keep flowing, going with the flow. And it went really long.
Yo, let's drop some trivia options here. Do you remember the name of the event?
I I used to love her at the Comfort Zone in
Yes,
Toronto.
sir.
Oh
Yes,
my
sir.
God.
Yes, sir. There's some trivia for you.
Yeah, that's wild. I remember
For
at night someone wanted to fight me because I stepped on their shoes.
yeah, yeah,
Happens, it happens. They were
for
white.
real. One thing that became very apparent about you was your creativity. And when I saw the things that you were capable of, you could do art direction, you can paint, you can rhyme, you know what I mean? I knew that there was going to be so much more that you were going to do.
Respect.
For
I
real. I
mean,
mean,
at the time, there was no other, especially female Asian faces in the game.
right?
So I actually faced a lot of racism, sexism, every isms that I got a lot of hate mail on me. Like, and it was just really interesting to me where I felt this reaction to something that I was already very shy about doing. Like as an artist, you're putting your most intimate thoughts and way of
Exactly.
expression out there. And when you're attacked for it, you're like, oh my God, this is the worst possible thing that could happen. Um, but I realized too that the more I did stuff that was going somewhere, the more the hate would, these reactions and haters would come. So like, oh, well, maybe I'm doing something. So I kept on and kept going on.
Well, you definitely hit your stride, and you were able to, put up a couple of these babies when you were nominated, first woman nominated for MMVA for a split second time,
That was
right?
crazy. At the time, I was charting on Rap City, and I was beating Jay Z Rap City. which is amazing because at the time I'm an independent. No one could figure out where I came from. It was so left field. But for booking, it was really easy. They're like, "Who's that Chinese chick that raps?" And I was the only one at the time. I remember wanting to see a better representation of people that looked like me in
Yes.
different facets, right? With
Yes.
Split Second Time, the the video was actually tongue in cheek to make fun of all the stereotypes. Whenever you see
Yeah.
Asian
Yeah.
people on television at the time, it's the kung fu fighting, Harajuku girls doing some kind of like submissive, cute thing. And so I wanted to shove all those stereotypes into one video.
Hmm.
But ironically, because all those stereotypes were in one video, that's probably why they aired that video so much because it became an acceptable way to consume this Asian girl that was rapping.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, so it was kind of a double-edged sword.
you were a disruptor though,
Definitely.
and we need. I mean, in our culture, we need disruptors to occasionally shake things up every couple of years. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I was disrupting more than by virtue of who I am and representing the person I am in spaces that hadn't seen someone that looked like me.
Yeah.
But also that I was so fiercely independent. I had gone to see some labels at the time, and they said, it's really cool what you're doing, and we've never seen anything like this. Your videos are crazy, but we don't know what to do with you because we have no precedent, we have no numbers to compare what someone like you would do in terms of
Exactly.
numbers. So in the end, I kept being told that I was not marketable. And I'm like, well, if I'm not marketable, then I'm the only person that's know how to market myself that stays true to my craft. So I'm like, okay, well, independent. And my first business that I registered in Canada was called Merdeka, which is the Malaysian Asian word for independence, which is also the same word for freedom.
There you go.
Around the time I realized everything you need to do about the music business, is that the point? Educating business, music business, everything you need to know about the music business. I read as much as I could that of literature and entertainment lawyers would be reading and
Yeah.
educated myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this independently. I need to know the big things know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once you decided that this was your calling, once you knew, once you you know made that call and said, "This is what I'm gonna do," coming from the family that you came from and the culture you came from, how did the family react to little Masia being the big rapper?
You have to remember, I handed my Asian parents an architecture degree and said, okay, here you go. Show the fam that I can study and I'm
Yeah.
smart and all the things. Like, I feel like I fulfilled my role that they wanted me to fulfill. I'm like,
Yeah.
and now this is my time. So I'm going to go do this thing now. So my mom was horrified. And my dad slowly came around when he saw that it wasn't just that I wanted, to run after fame or do something frivolous.
Right.
He saw that I was running things like a business. So
Mhm.
he started sending me articles that were relevant and that kind of thing and clipping,
Okay.
when he clipped an article about Lauren Hill for me, I'm like, Dad, so cool.
No, that's. I mean, obviously, it became. It crystallized for them that okay, she's serious. Got it.
Yeah, it
She's
was a
on it.
trend. Then the trend kept going and the trend kept going. So now
Right.
she thinks I'm crazy, but now they understand that is something I had to pursue.
You've definitely had a journey, not just in cities, but in terms of your sound as well. Because I mean, if you think back to Mississauga, it was it was a hip hop record, right?
Yeah.
But like any artist, growth and development comes as time comes along and you start to explore new things and start to explore different sounds. And I mean, you're obviously still very much a rapper, but you are now very much leaning into the other love that you've had from time,
Yes.
reggae,
Which
dancehall, dub.
Absolutely. I mean, as a kid, my older brother used to play for me Black Uhuru, Pizza Touch, to the Maytals, and that's what he was playing for me on the other side of things. I always thought he was like, it's a vibe, but I'm into this hip hop thing. I came from the school of backpack and
Yep.
underground
Yep.
hip hop, and
Yep.
always being like, no, this is real, this is real, and kind of chasing a sense of having to prove like myself, because of how I look and whatever. So I always felt I had to spit harder than everybody, and I had to. My first interviews almost all exclusively asked me what it's like being Asian female in hip hop. And
Hmm.
I used to not like that question because I just wanted to be an MC, and I
Yes.
asked questions that MCs were being
Yep.
asked. But as I started touring, we did tours in high schools, and we did, up North Ontario where maybe I remember the high school had one Vietnamese girl in the whole school. And
Yeah.
she came up to me crying and she's just like, listen, I didn't, I get bullied for being how I look every single day in my school. And you just made being cool. And I can't thank you enough. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And after
Yeah.
I experienced that, I understood more the importance of representation. And then I didn't mind this question about what's it like being a female Asian MC,
Yeah.
because I knew that it was actually speaking on something that uh, might not be as often represented at the time, especially. So, sorry, I've digressed. The original question was, remind me, please.
Basically, you leaning into the
Ah,
other love.
yes.
You've
And
always you've always loved reggae, dancehall, dub, but then you started exploring it in your sound.
absolutely. Well, I think Toronto had a big, big part of that. I mean, I was at Phoenix every Sunday,
Yeah.
jamming
Yeah.
down with the best of it on College Street where the sound system full of.
Hmm.
I moved, I lived on Marlin Eglinton for a long time for Misha Tuning Tuesdays, like best, best. And I have been
We seem to have lost your audio. I mean, sometimes the Wi-Fi gods they play games with us, you know. But no, Masia has. If you listen to her discography and watch the development of her sound, it's very obvious. You know, her love of reggae and dancehall and dub. It's front and center, especially with a lot of the more current stuff. And I think we're going to try and get her back in.
how
Hey,
that Wi-Fi gods.
okay,
Okay, nice. Yeah, so I was saying, dub reggae, it's always been a part of my
yeah,
vocabulary. I got to spend, I lived in Toronto for 10 years. What a beautiful mashup of cultures. And, in the same night, I was living with a punk band who, you
nice.
know, yeah,
That's
and,
such
but
an
in the
artist
same,
thing.
and now and then they'd be like, come rap for us, Masia, and they'd play, like some trash punk, and I just spit over what they were doing.
Yeah.
I lived in a punk band, but I was in hip hop circles. In the same night, we used to go to Uno Mas. Do you remember Uno
Yes.
Mas, where it's
Yes.
house music, but all the b boys and b girls were throwing down,
Yes,
and
sir.
then we end the night with some lovers rock. So this is the city that shaped me, and this is the sounds that shaped me, and I just fell in love with all of it. So eventually I went to work in LA under a man named Che Pope, that produced for Aftermath, produced for Jay-Z,
Yes, sir.
Kanye, all of these guys. And I mean, I'm glazing over that, but when I realized that maybe I needed a shake up from LA, from living in LA,
Hmm.
in my mind, I'm like, what would be the opposite of Hollywood? And I remembered all those records that my brother used to play for me. Well, Bun Down Babalan, this and that. So I'm like, you
Yes,
know what?
sir.
I'm gonna move to Jamaica for a little while. And so I just picked up everything and went.
Yes, you
And yeah,
did.
and that's how it ended up influencing a lot of my sound. Realizing that as an MC, we kind of have huge egos, like check my flow and I'm gonna rap into your face. But
Yeah.
what I learned when I went to Jamaica was the art of performance, where your audience is very much a part of your performance, and you're riding
Mhm.
that energy, and you're feeding off of their vibe to give back to them. Um, I never sang before; I was too shy to sing, and I think being in Jamaica really gave me the confidence to sing. My moment of this was meeting a man with a cooking pot on his head. He was singing at the top of his lungs, and he was a terrible singer. And I think I was somewhere in like Orange Hill in Westmoreland, and I'm like, "Yo, Rasta, why are you wearing a cooking pot and you sing so terrible, but you're singing at the top of your lungs." It's like, "Well, Chinese morning. You see this cooking pot? It's my style, and no one have this style. It's my style. And my voice. You might think it's awful, but it's my voice, and nobody have this voice." And from that moment, I'm like, okay, well, let me take what I got with my voice and start to actually know my voice really well. So, even though I don't think I could ever aspire to be Aretha, but I aspired to intimately know my voice, what I was
Yeah,
capable of, and how I wanted to express that voice.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And then you grow that part of your voice.
exactly.
Now, I honestly thought you were going to end up staying in Jamaica when you were down there, but
I honestly
you
thought so
didn't.
too. I
You
probably will.
decided, you decided, guess what? I'm going to now go back to Asia and I'm going. This was a bold move. When you did this, I was watching like, oh, that's crazy shit, but I hope she can pull that off. You know what I mean? Because, like, when you think of Asia, you don't think of reggae or dancehall or dub,
No, not at all. And
right?
especially, I went back to the place of my birth in Singapore, and it was mostly for family. They're like, "Where's our daughter?" "Oh, she's in like Westmoreland, somewhere in the mountains with a goat and enjoying her life." Um, but when I hit back, I really, really missed my time in Jamaica, and
Yeah.
I longed for it. And, I spent a month pouting. And after I was done pouting, I'm like, okay, the only thing I can really do is to find those vibes here and create something here that will attract others that would enjoy that music and culture and that kind of thing. And touching down, Singapore very much still had a hip hop scene. They have their own kind of movements around that. So I'm like, okay, they're good. Hip hop is alive and healthy, but there's almost no reggae and dub scene except for a couple sound systems and that kind of thing. So, and also I realized there were a lot of stereotypes around the music,
Mm.
where when I first started um, in Singapore, I learned that people believed that reggae was just, beach boy music. They asked me if it was homeless people music.
Damn.
Yeah, that crazy.
Shit.
For a country that's very strict in cannabis laws, they held it to the picture of Bob smoking and saying like, "Oh no, we don't like reggae music at all." And
Damn.
like, the music, or what are you thinking about? So I realized that there were definitely challenges, and I started something called the Singapore Dub Club to celebrate a reggae community, a dub community, however small the minority in Singapore, and did my best to try to kind of go after all the stereotypes, which is kind of how I started my rap career,
Right?
actually. I just realized that. Anyways, um, so when I had an event, I would target all the most like high end venues where people would see it as, you dress up, or it's like in a five-star hotel, that type of thing. And I targeted those venues because there was this perception that's like homeless beach boy music. And I wanted to show that there's so many angles, and that this is a part of a culture, and culture is rich. It's got food, poetry, literature. It's so much more than, one stereotype of what it is. So yeah, we worked hard to break a lot of those stereotypes.
And you were obviously successful at doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it still is a very niche market in Singapore, but what it ended up doing was, first, it attracted a lot of the British and American, and any area that already had established any area that had already had established reggae scenes. And
Right.
so they were so happy that they found something in Singapore that resonated with what they always wanted to
Yeah.
see there. And then when that happened, Singaporeans kind of got curious and like, well, what's this thing that they're into? And they started coming and checking out the music. And one way that was very effective for communicating a message to all Asian people is through the belly. So we did a lot of um, jerk grill events. First one being called the Great Singapore Jerk Off.
Nice.
Um, and it was wildly successful. And we would just make sure that a live band was playing, like bands, reggae bands that never really had much of a platform in that area of the world to perform. So we gave them
Yeah.
a platform, and they'd be playing while people were eating, and they're like, hey, we like this, we feel good, we're actually talking to each other, we're forming community,
Yeah.
we're, it's not a club where it's so loud and you can't get to know one another.
Right.
So, and I really wanted to show the authenticity of the music. So we were able to bring in everyone from Johnny Osborne to
Nice.
who else? My brain's blanking right now. Sister Nancy,
Hey.
Hugh Brown. We
Hey.
got Koji Crown from Mighty Crown in Japan, who were the
Hey.
world class champions for a long
Yes,
time.
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
most recently, General Levy, and most recently we brought down Kabaka Pyramid, which was a huge
Nice.
achievement. We were so humbled to have him.
That is dope. That's so live. You see what
Right
I'm
after
saying?
we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. So in the beginning, everyone said, like, Masia, don't do it. There's no way reggae could ever work in Singapore. And we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. So pretty dope.
Look at that. Once again, you stood on the mountain and said, nah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, B. I should just like push K-pop and make my life a lot easier.
You know what? Okay, we're laughing about it, but to be honest, you never know. One day in the future, there might be like something you hear in it that you want to vibe with. Yeah, I'm not saying you're going to like cross over, but it might, you know, pop up a little bit in the music. You never know.
It's actually already happening in the sense that
Well, then,
recently, I've relocated to Taiwan. And,
okay.
I grew up in Canada and I moved when I was 8 years old. So my Chinese language up till a year ago was that of an 8-year-old, like functional, give me that. I want that
Yeah.
now. But I don't speak fluently. I speak like a
Yeah.
kid. So now I'm thrown in the mix of a new environment. I don't speak the language. There's definitely cultural barriers where I look like someone that speaks the language, but when they start speaking to me, I'm like, no one can really understand why I am this way. And
Yeah.
it was definitely a culture shock for me. Even moving back to Singapore is a culture shock of my own
Oh, yeah.
original culture and birthplace. But I've recently taken on a role as a music director for a venue called Playback by a 7-star hotel called Capella Hotels.
Okay. Nice.
And now I'm being exposed to the biggest music scene in Taiwan being Mando Pop.
Okay.
And mind you, I'm someone that's like, Sean Price, Wu Tang,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
stop with all that soft shit. And now I'm sitting down and listening to Mando Pop. Different language, different style, different target audience, and now expanding and trying to open my perspectives of how a different part of the world listens to music
Yeah.
and what they choose. So definitely expanding my horizons still.
There you go. I mean, that's the life of an artist, right?
True. That's true.
Artists can never be held to the sound on any record they drop because artists
Yeah.
grow.
But I mean, that's a difficult thing to say in this day and age, this environment where they constantly want a way to just kind of like neatly package the things so that, okay,
Yeah.
well, you like this and your algorithm and the people that the algorithm pushes you to look like this. I mean, I
Yeah.
have to admit, half the things that Spotify pushed to me, I was like, no, I don't like any of this stuff because they were
Mhm.
seeing my persona and assuming what I would like or not like, which
Yeah.
is really interesting as actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been told for when I entered, especially the Asian music industry, I was told, Masia, you need to choose. Are you hip hop? Are you reggae? You can't be both. It's you choose one or the other. You know,
Damn.
and this was just pre Major Laser. And when Major Laser happened, I'm like, well, what do you call that? But there, I think geographically, when a place is so far removed from the source of where a lot of the music is being inspired and taken from,
Mhm.
there isn't a relation. They're like, this is called EDM.
Right.
And I'm listening to Busy Signal. I'm like, yeah, but it's Busy Signal, like it's
Yeah.
dancehall. This is Bashment music.
Yeah.
But so it's definitely a process to reconnect these musical styles to the root of where they come from and grow and educate an appreciation of where the root of the music came from.
Exactly. Zero lies told. Zero lies told. Now, all these things that we've been talking about and all the experiences that you have lived and all the situations that you've had to barrel through, not just as a woman but as an Asian woman, an expatriate, you know what I mean?
True.
All these
As a
experiences,
six culture kid, seven, eight
right?
culture
Jeez. All these experiences make you such a perfect choice for speaking on a panel, especially for Breakout West. Why don't you tell us what this panel is about? It's called Elevating Experiences.
Okay, so there's two panels. One is elevating experiences.
Okay.
It's being moderated by Kazimi, which I have worked with in different parts of the world. So I'm very excited to connect with her on this
Okay.
panel. She's actually been a part of some of the crazy experiences that have been curated.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about this conversation. But I think it's going to explore, no longer are we in the age of I'm an artist, check me out because I'm dope, right? We have so much media and just
Yeah.
there's so much. There's so much now, and there's so much noise as well. So how do creatives and artists there begin to express their music and as a more whole package of an experience? How do you give your audience the full experience of what it is that you're trying to express? How does the choice of the venue and the way that the venue is set up and how the flyer looks and all of these things, how the marketing of it, how does this be an extension of what you're trying to actually express and the messages that you're trying to express? So I think that's the first panel. And then the second panel is inroads to Southeast Asia or discovering, sorry, the exact name is this market discoveries, which is Southeast
Okay.
Asia. And I'm definitely on the panel with some really amazing other guests that have experiences setting up festivals in Southeast Asia, running publishing labels in Southeast Asia. For myself, I run a very small boutique label called Nusantara Records that looks to sync Southeast Asian language music into Netflix and movies and TV and that type of thing. So yeah, it's just exploring that and us sharing our knowledge of how you could gig in Southeast Asia or how you could just get the first inroads into this market, which I think is really, really a big part of the future of the music industry.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. There's a lot of eyes on Asia
Yeah.
for talent right now. It's wild. You know what I mean?
Not
I've
just tell
even
the audience as well.
oh
You have
yes, of course. The market.
Yeah, you have Ho Chi Minh that has 89% of the people are under the age of 35 years old. So you just have
Damn.
this young, young, mass of young people that are excited to hear new music, that have the energy and the income to go out and experience concerts and festivals and that type of thing. And yeah, there's just so many pockets that have really interesting movements that are happening on that side of the world.
There you go. There you go. Now the panels both take place tomorrow.
Both take place tomorrow at 1 p.m. At Salon A and 2 p.m. at Wellington.
Now for artists who have not yet, you know, signed up, copped anything to attend Breakout West, why don't you break down the benefits of being an artist in attendance at the festival
Sure.
and
I
conference?
attended Breakout West. I don't even know if it was like 10 years ago. It was in Calgary at the time. I don't even know how long ago this was, but I attended because my record, Bootleg Culture, was nominated for a Western Canadian Award under the
Was
category of
there?
hip hop. And I came as an artist, but it was one of the most valuable experiences I had. And it actually set me on a road to be interested in sync and licensing because at that
Nice.
conference, I met so many music supervisors. And I realized that I really like the personalities of music supervisors. But I was watching the situation and I saw like, I mean, everyone wants to get their music to a music supervisor, like, yo, my shit's the hottest shit, feature it on
Yeah.
this movie and that movie. But what I saw, after the panel, people get mobbed and business cards get shoved in people's faces. But I realized that music supervisors like whiskey. So I park myself at the closest bar and I just have drinks lined up and be like, let's have a conversation. Here's some whiskey
Yeah.
while we talk. And it
Yeah.
was very effective.
Hey.
And honestly, those relationships that I made 10 years ago, I still have. I still work with those music supervisors all these years later. As the music industry and the television and Netflix industry changed, they started needing a Vietnamese song, Cambodian song, an Indonesian
Mm-hmm.
language song. And
Mm-hmm.
here I was in Southeast Asia saying, well, I got that catalog.
There
Let's
you
talk.
go.
So
Right?
I never forget Breakout West because it was really such a valuable um, conference for me. I always thought it had to be the South by Southeast, and it's got these like the South bys and the big branded events, but this one actually had very valuable connections. It gave me the time to talk to people that I wanted to meet, and I made relationships that lasted over a decade.
There you go.
Yeah,
You
so
bring
if
up,
you're creative, get out
yeah,
here. It's your
yeah,
city, it's your town, get out here.
yeah. You bring up sync, so I just want to touch on sync just really quickly. Obviously, a great revenue stream for artists once they've figured out how to do it. But a lot of artists already, I mean, you've heard the term sync ready. A lot of artists think their music is sync ready,
Hmm.
but it may not necessarily be what they think it is. How what does it take for an artist to be sync ready?
I think part of being sync ready is being metadata ready. That you know all the back end stuff. You own those masters. It's
Yep.
clear. They're not going to put your song in something and a month later your guitarist is pissed that his split is actually this, and people are fighting
Yep.
over this track. It needs to be very clear who is the owner of the track. I think that music supervisors are often under a time pressure, so they don't have the time to be like, listen to my whole album and like tell me what you're into. So one way that I really got in there was organizing my music by tempo, saying like this is great
Nice.
for a bar scene, this is great for a car chase scene, this is
Yep.
some down tempo like vibes at night situation. So organizing the music that way so that if there needs to be a quick placement, it's very simple.
Yep.
And I also forging relationships early. Like I would just
Mm,
mention, Breakout West was huge for me. And once I got a couple songs in and I created that relationship with the music supervisor, they just kept coming back to me for like big boss energy music. Like they
yeah.
wanted that female MC in the scene of the movie when the lead character realizes themselves and they have a makeover and they're walking in all boss when they used to be picked on. That's my specialty of music that gets placed.
There you go.
So finding your niche too, and knowing that you can make multiple placements once you know kind of that space that people keep coming back to you for that style of music. And just have your stuff mastered well, mixed and mastered well.
Yes.
That helps. Having an instrumental helps in a big way too, because sometimes they need to mix the characters to come into a scene and start talking over your music and
Exactly.
seamlessly mix that in. So yeah, there's definitely some ways that you can actually be sync ready.
Look at that. Major dropping jewels, y'all. Major
I
dropping
got, I
jewels.
got gems, honey. I got gems. And then
Now,
look, I'm at this festival. I'm an artist too, but now I feel very blessed to now be at a stage in my career where I also have the ability to be a booker. I also have the ability to be a creative director and share what I listen. I just want to see artists do well because I am
yeah,
one myself, and I'm happy to share.
yes, definitely.
And I've been
Well,
doing this independent AF for a very long
that's
time. So
that's what I was just about to say. If there's anyone, I mean, you're such a great resource.
like
If
I'm
anyone,
looking
oh
for
man,
independent artists. I want to see the indies rise. This era has been more independent labels succeeding even beyond the majors. So yeah, it's
hmm,
a very good time for indies.
there you go. Musically, what have you got? I mean, you've got a couple of new joints. You sent me that the new one. I mean, I heard the Check Your Levels. Is there a new album coming out soon, or are these Lucy's? What's the
Well, yeah, it's been singles, but I've been working on two records. I'm actually back in Canada to work together with a producer out of Vancouver called C Infamous.
okay?
C is an incredible. Oh my God, I feel like he's the most slept on Canadian producer. Honestly, he was based in Hong Kong, producing for all the big stars in Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Oh
Um,
damn!
yeah, he's produced for like MC Hot Dog, Doggy, what are their names? Oh my God, MC Yen, Edison Chen, all of these big stars in that scene. But he's always been a Van City guy, So he's also
Okay,
collaborated with DJ Premier, Gangster Boo, Nate Dogg. He's done crazy stuff.
damn.
So
Okay.
he's been the homie for a long time, and we were talking about it. We were watching like a Shaw Brothers kung fu movie together, and we're like, "Why? We love Wu Tang, but we Wu Tang. Like why do we not represent?
Right?
Real Wu Tang, we real Wu Tang. So why are we not representing and actually sharing these parts of our culture in a very real way? I mean, we're both um, Canadian, like we're Canadian, where he's also originally from Hong Kong. I'm originally from Singapore. We have this kind of bridge between these two worlds where we
Hmm.
come from a place in Asia, but we are also Canadian. We also love hip hop. So why don't we create a record that takes me back to my roots of just like boom bap, hip hop, nasty beat,
Damn. Okay.
um, and also being inspired by the like epic lore of these old Shaw Brother kung fu movies. So
Okay.
that's what I'm back in Canada and back in Vancouver recording. I'm going to the studio with him right when I'm back from Breakout West. Actually, I'm landing back from Winnipeg and going straight into the studio.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm
Nice.
excited about that. And the second project I'm working on is a reggae album, a full reggae album with
Of
a
course.
producer named Ja Wise. He's Brazilian but based in Australia. And he just came to me one day and was like, Masia, you're the only reggae artist that don't have a reggae album. True. And I do have a dream to be able to play Rototom and, do the circuits in Europe. That's
Yeah.
the reggae festivals that are massive in Europe.
Yeah.
So we're working on putting together, like finally putting together a reggae record.
Nice.
So
Dope.
my yin and yang are coming together where the two things that I love. I feel like hip hop's kind of my yang and reggae is my yin. You don't know yang is like very like your more I don't want to say the word aggressive, more outwardly expression, more
Okay.
in your face expression, and yin is creating a sound that attracts things to you. So
Okay.
I feel like these two sounds are both sides of me and both cultures I that have shaped my journey as an artist.
Oh hell yeah. This is so Masia. This is straight up Masia right here. Like this is nothing new. This is literally Masia. It makes total sense.
Yeah, and to work on two records at the same time is also major.
Yeah, that's also Masia. Goddamn. Well, you're gonna have to come back when these records are getting ready to drop so we can talk about them.
I would love to. I would love to.
For real. For real. I look forward to hearing both of them.
Yes, man. Respect. It's gonna be it's really blessed to be able to be making music and putting out music still now.
Yes.
I think I've been in the industry 20 years.
Yep.
And for a lot of especially female MCs, your career, it can be short-lived. And I
Oh
want to
yeah.
encourage more female MCs out there to do their thing and keep
Yep.
going and, you know, yeah, make a
Hell
career
yeah.
out.
All day. Goddamn.
You know what it is.
Masia, thank you so much for spending time with us in the lounge space. I mean, we had you on the lounge when we were on 95.9 FM. So this is really, I mean,
Wow.
this is nothing new. We've been here, just different
Oh,
medium.
amazing. Amazing. Oh, I
So
should
for sure.
mention,
Oh,
I'm
what's up?
actually stepping into a role where iHeartRadio is launching in Asia side, in Southeast Asia.
Oh, damn.
And I'm going to be hosting my first podcast together with MC named Bohan Phoenix. I'm not sure if you know Bohan Phoenix. Super dope MC and America based, well, Shenzhen and America based. And we're doing it as part of Lifted Asia, which is a platform that champions Asian hip hop and
Sick.
R&B and
Okay.
anything with a rhythm basically. And yeah, now I have an opportunity to be on the other end of the table and interview and give
Dope.
voice to other Asian MCs and artists.
When does that launch?
Supposed to launch in October, but
Okay.
you know how the thing goes sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
So
Definitely
I'll
do.
definitely look you up when we're ready to launch.
Hell yes. Damn, that's dope. Love to hear that.
Yeah,
Gee.
busy life.
Hey, you only have one. Do.
Exactly,
Do.
exactly.
You
I mean,
know?
from the time took a chance and said like, hey, maybe I can just rap in front of people one time, to 20 years later, still being able to put out hip hop and still put out music. It's crazy. You never know. So take that chance, kids.
Straight up and down. Straight up and down. Masia, thank you once again. Until we get you back in the lounge space to talk about these lit projects coming up, thank you. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. This will be on demand via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And you artists out there, if you are in Manitoba or Winnipeg, make sure you attend the Breakout West Festival and Conference. Make sure you check Masia because jewels, enough jewels to be dropped.
Let's connect. Let's connect.
It's like that. Salute.
Peace.
Peace.
Every time.